Hi dancers, Jess here. Welcome back to the Whole Dancer YouTube channel. Today I want to chat a little bit about how to get started cooking for yourself. I think that before you start to hone some of those kitchen skills, it's the sort of thing that can seem sort of overwhelming, especially, depending where you came from, if you were living at home and your parents were cooking for you, or if you were in a professional school where there was a dining hall, so meals were kind of just there. Going out on your own and starting to cook for yourself can seem quite daunting. So here are some things to keep in mind, some skills you will want to work on and some things you'll want to pick up in order to make the transition a little bit easier and more seamless. Focus in first on some of the basics. Think about the spices and flavors that you enjoy, and think about how you can incorporate those more into everyday meals. So for me, some of my favorites are garlic and onions. Nice smells, right? But those are some of the easiest things to incorporate into food planning that gives things flavor without being, super challenging to deal with. The biggest thing that I've learned in cooking with those foods is that you don't want to burn garlic, because burnt garlic is kind of the worst. So just be careful with that. But otherwise, incorporating it into your meals is a great way to add flavor without things getting too complicated. As you start to plan around cooking for yourself, ask yourself what meals you enjoy. So these can be meals that you go out and eat at restaurants, or meals that you've had at home, or meals that you tend to gravitate towards when you have tons of options in a dining hall. And think about how you might recreate such things in your own home. So if you like something like baked salmon, look up how to bake salmon. Simple things like that. Luckily, there are YouTube videos for just about everything these days, and you can certainly find an easy recipe for how to bake salmon. Definitely let this be a gradual thing. So don't feel like you have to go and do some crazy involved recipes in the beginning. Find some of the easiest recipes you can and focus on those first. So I say that generally they shouldn't take more than 15 to 20 minutes to set up and prepare. Maybe it takes a little bit longer to cook, that's fine. But you don't want to have something that is an hour's worth of cooking work when you have little to no experience cooking for yourself, like a 15 to 20 minute recipe even now, and I've been cooking for myself for quite a while. Make sure you read through the recipe steps and, like the different stages of the recipe before you actually go out and buy the ingredients. So it's tempting to look up a recipe and be like, wow, that looks delicious. That is something I definitely want to make. And then you go to the grocery store and you buy all the ingredients, and then you come home and read the recipe and realize that it's super complicated or involved, or you have to have some special tool in order to make it. So make sure that you really read through all the instructions before you decide if a recipe is something that you're going to actually dive into. And keep it simple at first. There are plenty of easy recipes out there. One of my favorite things to make, and something that I do have as a meal, sometimes for lunch or dinner even, is hummus and crudité. And I do make the hummus myself in a blender because it is one of those super simple things to make at home that we just kind of get used to buying out at the store. But you can easily make your own hummus. It's just a matter of tossing things into a blender and blending them up. And then you cut up some vegetables and voila, it's a meal. So you want to find things like that that are going to be super simple and are not going to make you feel overwhelmed and are not going to take forever, because that's going to dissuade you from cooking for yourself and learning all those skills. If this is your first time moving out of the house, ask your parents for recipes that they make. It's likely also that you've seen them actually make the recipe, so you might have in your head how it's kind of supposed to go, which can be helpful as well. So that way, you're making things that are familiar and that are also familiar to your body. We don't want to go out on our own and start cooking for ourselves and then realize, I'm cooking all of these foods that I wasn't used to eating and my body wasn't used to digesting, and then, developing some sort of digestive issue or gaining weight that you were not planning on gaining or were not hoping to gain. It's important to stick to those family recipes, especially if they are culturally significant for you. So, in different cultures, there are different ways of eating and different ways of eating that tend to work for that cultural background. So that's important to keep in mind as well. Think about how the foods that you eat at home might have some history for you and how that actually works with your body or your genetics, because that is a valid thing to consider. A key component to being successful and consistent in cooking for yourself is to do some planning and to keep it simple. I already said keep it simple once, but I'm going to repeat myself and then talk a little bit more about the planning. So the planning is going to be picking out those few recipes. And one nice thing too is once you have a handful, say 5 or 10 recipes that you really enjoy and you have practiced making and you're getting better at making and they've become easy for you and they're quick, those can be kind of on your rotation. You don't have to you don't have to figure out all new recipes each and every week. I mean, that would be great, but we tend to want to eat the same things if they're enjoyable to us. So make your life a little bit easier in that way. Stick to those recipes that you have figured out and that you know work, and then you can also more easily create a shopping list around them and make them each and every week. And think about things that you can make that are going to last for the week. So I do think that one of the challenges we tend to face when we first start cooking for ourselves, and especially if we are just one person or we're eating differently from our roommates, and so we feel like we're only cooking for one, is that one of the best ways to maximize cooking, period, is to cook larger batches and to cook large quantities of food that you can then reuse that week for lunches. Maybe if it's soup, you freeze some and reuse it in the following weeks or month to make sure that you're maximizing the work that you've done. If you enjoy certain grains and you know you want to make some brown rice or have some brown rice or quinoa or things like that for the week, you can make a batch for the whole week, especially if you're going to have it for lunch every day. Another popular thing or common thing to meal prep ahead of time is roasted vegetables because they're very easily added to meals and different recipes and can be thrown together and made into a simple and enjoyable meal. Keep in mind too, as you get better at this and as you start to figure out the things that you like, you'll see ways that you can kind of go off script and you don't have to stick to those initial recipes that you had chosen or stick to those recipes really at all. If you enjoy a grain and you know there is a vegetable recipe that you like and a protein recipe that you like and you can put it all together and put some sauce on the top, some flavor, then that's a very easy way to kind of throw it all together without it being super complicated. And that's the kind of thing that, might take some time to build up for. You have to realize how those different sauces and flavors work for you or how you enjoy them. And then you will be able to create meals for future days. So those are some tips on starting to cook for yourself. As dancers, as you all know, healthy eating is just so essential, not just for maintaining your dancer's body, but also for your energy, your mood, and just overall well-being. So really try to prioritize cooking for yourself. It's the best way to ensure that you are in control of the ingredients and you really know what's going into your food and you're able to fuel your body the best that you possibly can. Thanks again so much for tuning into the Whole Dancer channel. If you have not yet subscribed, be sure to do so and you'll get new video alerts just about once a week. New videos will be coming out and I'm thrilled to have you as a viewer. So thank you so much once again for tuning in. If you're looking for more from The Whole Dancer, head over to the Whole Dancer blog where new things are coming out all the time. See you next time.